Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
How to Ace the Hackathon is a program about the winners of Smart India Hackathon in the earlier editions. Learning about the challenges they faced, the solutions they devised, and the invaluable lessons they've gathered along the way. Today, we are joined by Anik, who is going to reveal the secret to his success at Smart India Hackathon 2022. Welcome, Anik.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right, Anik. So we are here to discuss with you your way, your tips and tricks, you can say, or the manner in which you approached Smart India Hackathon and became a winner. So to begin with, let's start with how did you get in touch with this particular competition? Where did you get to know about it, or you knew it earlier? And how did you come across the competition? First of all, let us know that.
Right. So first of all, thanks a lot for having me in this platform. We as a team were working on this water recycling for about a few months before the Smart India Hackathon got announced in our campus. We are from Geetham University, Visakhapatnam. We were working on this for a few months, and unfortunately, we also applied for a lot of other competitions, got into some of them, won a few of them in the few months before the Smart India Hackathon was launched. And then our campus also came across and asked us to get into the Smart India Hackathon because it's one of the largest hackathons in Asia and in the world as well. So we applied under the same problem statement that we were working on as a team. We were looking to build up a startup or a business out of it as well. So that was our approach. And then we found a problem statement that was very aligned with what we were doing at that point of time. And even as I speak, as of now, we are also working on the same thing post SIH. So that's how we came across Smart India Hackathon, and then we applied. Process happened, a lot of things happened in the middle. That was a big journey, but yeah, that's how I came across.
Right. So please tell us about the problem statement that you had and what solution you had in your mind while you chose that particular problem statement.
Right. Our mentality was a bit different. Our approach was a bit different when we saw our competitor peers in the nodal center. Our approach was not to just make a technology and prove a point, but it was more of like making a product, solving a problem, a real world problem. So when we saw the problem statement of gated communities and their discharge of kitchen waste separately, and we had to recycle the kitchen waste coming out of the gated communities and feed it back to the ground or have a temporary storage made for that. That was the problem statement given to us. We saw an opportunity there as a product development journey. So as a team, we took it up as a market research, and we went to a lot of these gated communities, understood their pipelines, architectures, and what are the present solutions available to mitigate this issue. Surprisingly, the architecture was quite different than what we thought of or what the problem statement was projecting. It was that the pipelines and all of these were not really separated out. There was one single pipeline. They had a big sewage treatment plant, as these are huge buildings as we're talking about. They had their own sewage treatment plants, and they would do that, and they would discharge all of that water without much of storage or reusage. So we went across the problem statement, we did some market research, we looked at the present solutions available. Then we figured out that the problem is not that there are no solutions, but the problem is that there are two things. One is the architecture in itself of these gated communities. Number two is that there is no such smaller or very specific filtration unit for kitchen wastewater. That's how we went across the entire problem statement.
Okay, so the process you took seems quite logical. But before we go further, please tell us about the team of yours. What was your team and the kind of allocation of work? So all about that. Can you share with us?
So of course, that's one of the biggest facets we had. We were coming from the background of electronics and communication, computer science, electrical, environmental sciences, civil engineering. And our mentor himself was coming from mechanical and also from the MBA backgrounds. So we had like a very facets rounded 360-degree covered safe team which could do most of the works. And coming to work allocation, as the team lead, I was the one who would, me and the other team members who were a bit senior than our juniors, not that they are juniors, so we would give them the work, but a little, we had a little more experience than our juniors. So we would completely prepare, break down the entire duration of, let's say, around 4 to 5 months. We would decrease that to like each month, each week, and then make a proper roadmap with a Gantt chart, and then assign each of us, including the team lead and all of these, based on the skill sets that we had, certain tasks for every week. And then we would have meetings every week, online, offline, depending on the exam schedules that we had and the juniors had, and the availability. Every week there would be an update call and what the roadblocks were and what were the issues that had come up again, or what are the updates, what positives or negatives we had this week. So the entire roadmap of like 4 to 5 months was broken down to weeks. We had tasks. Each task was tagged to certain person in the team, and we would come and every week we would have that update and we would work together, if not work individually if required, and get the tasks done every week. That's how it was for us.
So that sounds pretty systematic. So moving forward, uh, was this approach still there, the systematic approach as you just outlined, while the event started, while the event was on, that 36-hour period, that, period of the event taking place, actual event taking place. So what was the approach during that period?
Oh, that those were really special days that we had. Like they were like very different days. The 5 days were very accelerated. It was not weekly. We had a lot of pre-work done. As you can see, we divided all of the works beforehand, but we didn't know what to expect when we reached that finals. So we didn't really plan for that. What we did was we did a lot of our simulations, we did a lot of our model development and a lot of these testing beforehand. We went to the nodal center, and then when we reached there, there were other set of mentors assigned to us. Every day there would be a check of twice at least, in the morning and in the evening. They would give us pointers and inputs to improve it, and that would change the course of the product itself. For example, the first day we went with our own ideology and our own product that we had, like the at least the parts. But then the mentor came in and said that's a little inefficient. You can do it a little better this way in the morning, and then that's what was our primary work for the entire day, to make or increase the efficiency of what we had already in terms of the design. Some other mentor would come and talk about the business part. We would show them the business model, and he would say that maybe this sector you could target, maybe this way you can build it, and this pipe you can target, and all of those things. So every day in the morning we would get new objectives or new ways to make the system more efficient and effective, including the business, the market, and the product itself. And we would take that as a task for the day, and we would work the entire day till actually, I remember 4:35 some days, and then we would go back to the hostel for about an hour and a half. We would sleep, and then we would come back and have tiffins and start the cycle again. Those 5 days were pretty like packed, but every morning was a reset button for us, and the tasks would be outlined to us by the mentors, and we would perform those at the end of the day.
So I can see mentors played a very pivotal role in what you achieved eventually. So tell us a little bit about that. How did these mentors come about? I mean, how did you find them, or to for the viewers' benefit, how important it is to find the right kind of mentors and how to find it?
Yeah. So we had our own campus mentors. Like we were in touch with them for a good amount of time, so they really knew us. That's one thing that we had beforehand. Number two is when we went to the nodal center, we found three mentors. We were assigned three mentors. They would be evaluators as well in the finals, or eventually they would evaluate us and declare us winners or whatever. These people were coming from three different backgrounds, and they had their own specialities. One person was an owner of a business which was working in sustainable tech. Another person was a professor in the college itself. Another person was like head of department of an incubation center. So they were even their specific roles to guide us. So the person coming from the technology background would give us proper inputs on terms of, or the startup background would give us proper inputs in terms of the product being more efficient and effective and providing the value with the price that we're providing. So it was more streamlined towards product and a bit of business. And then when it came to the professors, they would dive deep into the tech and also deep into the science behind it, because it's filter. We need the science to be very accurate. We cannot just come and say that, yeah, the water looks clean, so it's fine. You can put it in the ground. No, there are certain tests that needs to be done, and we didn't know those tests as much as they knew it. So they would give us the input that, okay, use this meter that's available in the lab, in this lab, get it up, test it. If it works good, that means your filter is working. So those kind of inputs. The three different people covering three different aspects, completing the entire evaluation or mentorship journey, for say.
So mentorship, I can figure out the journey was like very smooth and very helpful. But when the evaluation started, the evaluators must have been, throwing some googlies at you, or maybe, finding out certain lacunas. So did that happen? And if so, how did you handle that part of it?
Right. We were actually very open to any kind of feedback. It might be a critical feedback or a positive feedback or whatever kind of feedback. Because at the end of the day, we were in the mentality to develop a product which would be launched in the market in a few 1 or 2 years maybe, with a little more refinement of the solution. So we looked at our mentors, or anybody would come up and ask questions to us as if they were our customers or they were the subject expert in that particular field. They did some work. So when they asked us questions that were completely out of our scope, we would take that as an input. We would do some research on it before jumping into conclusion that, yeah, maybe this is right or that is wrong. Those are opinions. We basically are a team that doesn't believe in opinions, but we go and do some research, and then based on facts, we decide whether, yeah, we should go in that direction or not. So they would ask us questions firstly around the architecture itself, that it's a very big architecture, gated community, 600 to 700 flats per community on an average. That's I'm talking about in the smaller scale itself. In larger scale, it's even more. How would you tackle that kind of water input? That was something really big, because we were building something compact and very specific for kitchen waste filter. So when you go for compactness in such things, the water rate that you can treat becomes very low. So they were questioning around that. That was something new to us. That was something we completely didn't have in our mind. And we did some research and we understood that the filtration rate can be increased with pumping and all of that. So that way of thinking was included by such kind of questioning. Um, Coming to the business point of view, we had a very different kind of business model based on the usage of the filter, because we also had a monitoring system in it. We could tell exactly how much water is being coming out of the filter. So we would bill the consumer or the client based on how much the water being used. But then they were like, okay, who is your user? Who is your customer? This is a building. So there's an association. There are a lot of people involved in taking these decisions, paying you bills. Whom are you exactly targeting? Then we went on that route. One of us went on that route, went and did some calls, made some calls from the nodal center about um, to these kind of gated communities, where we could figure out that there are associations, but there is one president. They would have meetings. In a meeting, that would they would have an agreement for a year. So once a year agreement is done, you don't have to worry about where the payment is coming for. You just have to deliver them value. So those small things, small puzzle pieces that were missing, they would ask us questions which would feel like googly, but as a product development startup mentality kind of team, we took it as, okay, this is something that we are missing. Let's do some research and understand. That's how we tackled it, but not really tackled it.
Aced it, huh? I would say that.
Well,
Yeah. So that was pretty good thinking, mature thinking in your part, and I can understand and I can see that that input coming from the evaluators was actually helpful. It kind of helped you polish the product more. So now coming to the final presentation, which is kind of a make or break thing. So how did you prepare for the final presentation, and say, and small little things like do's and don'ts? You had anything in mind in that sense, or particular way to prepare a PPT or whatever presentation you must have prepared. So tell us about that part.
The final day, sir, to be honest, that's one of the chilling moments for us. It was like very cramped. And we had to do testing. So the night before, the filter was clogged. We had to backwash it. We also, while doing that, we tested one of the features of the filter uh, accidentally, that it can be backwashed and cleaned. Um, the filter was clogged. The dashboard was almost done, but 20% of the development was left. Dashboard for our water quality monitoring and control. The sensors were not that well calibrated. And then the business model was almost done. We were asking quotations from all of these companies that would provide ETPs, effluent treatment plant, which are smaller than STPs. So there would be a business model comparison. All of them were 80% done, 20% was left, and we just had like a few hours at the end. So we again went on. These are the tasks for A person, B person, C person, D person. Divided those tasks. I would be the person who would present. My team believes that I'm a good presenter, so I don't know. They just pushed me to just do the presentation. So I did the PPT, and at the end we had to basically show them the demo, the entire thing working with the dashboard, with the presentation, with the business model. So towards the end, that was just past lunch. Luckily, we found out the real kitchen waste water coming out of mess. Few of our team members went and got that water, and in front of the judges, we got the bucket in front of them, and they were like, "Yeah, no, put it. Let's see." We were all fingers crossed that it works, and we poured the water. Some of it spilled out, smelled really horrible, kitchen waste water. But then, yeah, the filtration worked, the sensors worked with proper readings, the dashboard updated, and you could also, we made a gimmick kind of a thing that we would want the judges to navigate through the UI of the dashboard and control the filter. So we made the judges control the filter. That was again another thing that was on spot. And then we presented the PPT. The PPT was like, what's the problem we are solving, what are the present solutions, how are we different, and what kind of different value are we adding, and how big is the market, and what's the next 6 month roadmap. And at the end, we also had a team slide. This is a very basic presentation uh, PPT slide kind of a template that we followed for earlier competitions as well, which we won. So that was streamlined. We just filled in the boxes and then we presented and we made them be the part of the live demo, and that worked. So that's how it went. It was pretty cramped, but then at the end, things turned out to be fine.
And at the end, things turned out to be fine. At the end, you turned out to be a winner. So congratulations there once again. So what I could, understand from you is like your approach has been very systematic, and you've turned everything into a positive thing at the end of it. Evaluators, mentors, their interjections, their inputs, they've all been positive as far as your product development went. And even in the final presentation, one thing I really like about him was that these people, their team, actually involved the evaluators, the judges in the demonstration itself. So I think that is I think a very good step to take, a good strategy, I would say. So thank you so much for joining us, Anik, and I'm sure everybody would be benefited with all the experience that you have shared and the small little bit, inputs that you had to share with them, and they will be benefiting a lot from that. Thank you so much, and all the best for your future endeavors as well. Thanks, Anik.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me here.
So that was Anik sharing his experience, his tips and tricks with you guys to help you win that Smart India Hackathon 2023. We'll be back with some more personalities who were, involved in acing the hackathon in earlier editions for your benefit. Keep watching.